in the swing of things, and then once you get back, it's like, shoot, we're here.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Chandler? We got Chandler in the chat. Randall, David, how's everybody been? Everybody been doing all right? I know we took this 2-week hiatus, and I can't tell if it's like the wrong time or the best time to take the hiatus at this point, because all that happened. So, I really wanted to come out and talk about it, and we did that podcast with Grant and Bradley, but I kind of want a more in-depth podcast, but that's for another time. How you been, Celina?
Good. Just chilling. Summer vacay for teachers. So.
Oh, that's right. So
Yeah.
when did that start?
That started like towards the end of May. So we're going into a month of summer vacation now. We were gonna do summer school, but that got canceled. So
Wait, summer school's canceled? Why?
summer school's canceled. I guess because with coronavirus, I guess they didn't want to have the kids come to school to do the face-to-face summer school. And I think virtual just wasn't a good option for the kids.
How was it like during this past semester? Like, was virtual starting to work out towards the end? Did you guys start to get the hang of it?
For my school, it was rough just because a lot of the kids didn't have the digital access. And what the county was doing was we were putting in grades, but I mean, it really didn't matter how the kids did. They were going to pass anyways to the next grade level. So it wasn't really like a fair judgment of their ability. So I don't know. It was rough for them.
Do you think they'll continue the digital access over the course of next semester, or
They're
think they're just gonna
talking
done?
about it. They're
Really?
talking about it. Yeah, Gwinnett County just sent out an email to, I want to say staff got it for sure, but I think some parents got it too, to see their comfortability level with going back to school, having face-to-face courses, or if they wanted to do digital learning again. So that survey went out.
What was the consensus on that? Were they all excited about it? Were they thinking, yeah, you know what, we could do this again, or
Yeah,
get these
so
kids out of my house?
It's in the process right now. So literally I think the survey just went out last week. So they're still gathering the data. But on the survey, there were options where we could do a hybrid class where half and half. I think they said K through second would do would come to school, and then third through fifth would do digital learning, or there was an option where we could do all digital learning. And they just had different options that we could choose from. But it looks like digital learning is a high possibility for the beginning of August.
Right. And Chandler said, I still feel like people need to be mindful because there are still more cases and people dying, Yeah, I mean, everything going on in the world, people kind of forgot that coronavirus was still a thing. And I know we talk about that a lot, and Kaylor's kind of turned that into a meme, but whatever. It's kind of the current world events. But with the riots and the protests going on, people kind of forgot about coronavirus. So we're starting to see more cases, not initially from that, but I speculate there's going to be some increase, definitely due to that. Everybody being surrounded,
I think even before that, they were talking about a second wave coming anyways, with flu season and just a mixture of different things. Because with the state opening back up, people just kind of mingling with each other. So I think that's why they did send the survey out, because they didn't want certain parents and families to feel and even staff to feel like they had to come to work and risk their health because of what's going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, there's been new talk and studies about just saying basically fuck it to the coronavirus, and we should just build a herd immunity, and that's the better option for the community. And we're not going to find a vaccine anytime soon, so people are like, fuck it, just
right.
Go ahead, contract it,
I mean, we're going to have to figure out a way to live with it somehow, I guess, temporarily till a vaccine gets made.
Right. Oh, and I just want to have a huge shout out to Dell. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Dell. I know you're in the chat. You're over on Twitch for some reason, but that's all right.
Happy birthday, Dell.
Happy birthday, bud. But yeah, especially with everything that's been in the news, and you're a huge part in the education sector. So you're going to be teaching at a new school this year.
Yeah.
But the previous year you were teaching at Title I school, right?
Title I.
Yeah. So how did you feel about teaching at a Title I school? What was the insight? What was it like?
Yeah. So Title One's a whole new world from like the schools that I've personally attended because I know I attended like the console cluster and they're not Title One. So Title One just basically means like it's mostly like low income families and a lot of kids are on free reduced lunch. So a lot of the kids at that school that I was at previously um were low income students. So some were homeless or some were coming from a different country. So like you had kids that were low academically and had like a low economic status. So you had to take a lot of that into account. So it's not just teaching academics, like you're teaching them how like social emotional well-being and things like that, which is just extra on top of like what we're doing educationally.
Right. So that's now on the teachers to teach the social skills.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of build that in. So I think all schools do this, not just the school I was at, but counselors come in and do like character building lessons and how to deal with emotions. And my kids specifically at that Title One school really needed that, you know?
Right.
So that was something because I know our school had a big behavior issue. Like before we could really focus on the academics, behavior was a big issue with that school. So we had to do a lot of that character building and socioeconomic
That's really cool.
talk.
Oh, well, there goes my camera, and I knew it was. Give me 1 second. Yeah, no, you know, that's really interesting that you say that because a lot of the time when we think of these, there we go. My gosh, that's why I need the cord. I couldn't find it. But a lot of times when we think of like these Title One schools, I never really imagined people were doing, you know, emotional development or emotional considerations for behavioral problems. Do you guys actually have like, it's gonna sound weird, but behavioral analysts that come in like work with specific kids?
Um, not that I know of. I know that if it gets to a point where like they need to be observed for like EBD, then they could have a specialist from the county come in and observe. But we haven't had anything like that. Usually we rely on our counselors to
Yeah.
kind of come in and support the grade levels. But I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like if the kid's not being met like emotionally and you know their needs aren't met there, then they're not going to perform well in the classroom because their mind's somewhere else, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, what's an EBD? Because talk to me like I'm stupid because I don't know what an EBD is.
I think it stands for emotional behavior disorder. I'm not sure 100%, but it has to do with like kids who have like really like their behavior is it prohibits them from learning in the classroom and it affects others around them, so they get put into another classroom, like I guess where their learning environment will help them better.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We have this interruption.
I just see a little head pop up in the corner.
I did too. Like I have the little like mini screen over here so I can see myself when it
Nikki.
just switches back and forth, and then I just see her slide in. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No. Oh yeah.
She can't read the comments and talk at the same, or I can't read the comments.
Well, that way
Yeah.
you're focused on like the stream, and then she can focus.
You
on
can be my Jamie.
She can monitor
You can be my Jamie.
the chat box.
Yeah, I need someone to be my Jamie. So if anybody's interested, hook me up, bro. Hook me up.
Right now, I will be.
Yeah, she can be my Jamie for the time being, but we can hook you up on Discord or something if you guys want to be my Jamie. Hey, Jamie, look it up, bro. Google it. So let's get back to some of these questions then. Nikki, I guess read it out loud.
I.
We're trying this out, you know. Fuck it.
Somebody needs to be Jamie because you missed all the comments.
Yeah, because we were talking about.
I know, but I forgot because she told me a while ago.
You know what? You know what? I'm actually curious. Before we read some comments, with what's going on in the world right now, at a Title One school, how do you manage the racial education? How do you manage? Because there's been a lot of talk about educating people on race and educating people on culture. You know, so we have a broader horizon on, you know, our history. So how does that come into play? you know, when you're
So-
teaching at specific schools, it would, you know,
Right.
specifically Title I's versus how you would implement that at a different school.
Right. Well, to start off with, I don't know about other teachers, but we're supposed to be teaching like different cultures like throughout. Like there's a standard where we teach multicultural like um literature and we incorporate that in. So you've been seeing a lot of things online about like teachers saying, "Oh, we need to incorporate more multicultural literature." And I'm kind of like, "Well, what have you been doing this whole time?" You know, like I mean, we were supposed to be exposing kids to that
Selena's been
anyway.
working hard, and you guys been
I'm just
slacking.
saying. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, any school, you're supposed to, you know, hold your biases and expose the kids to all different cultures and all different perspectives and views of things to let them really formulate their own opinion. So you're not pressuring or like molding them to believe a certain I don't know, like opinion, you give them all these different perspectives and then they can formulate their own. So at a Title I school, my school that I was at was primarily Hispanic and black kids and most of the teachers were black and I think I was like one of two Asian teachers there. So like we were pretty diverse, I would say, school for the Title I school and a lot of these kids um you know, you got to know your kids in your classroom. They're really good well we're really good at incorporating literature that is relevant to them. So if my kids are I don't know, let's say there's some kids who have like single parent homes, then you would incorporate a literature book that would have something like that so they can relate to it.
That makes
So
sense.
any school that you're at, you want to make sure that you're incorporating diverse literature that is relevant to their lives. Because if kids can't make connections to it, it doesn't make sense.
I think that's important in everybody's life, you know,
Right.
especially with whatever you're trying to do right now and considering whatever hobbies you have. I mean, you're not going to be interested in it if it doesn't relate to you in some way or another. So Nikki says read the chat. So I guess we'll go over here. Nikki, go ahead. Take it away.
So basically, how's the beef? He ate it all.
How's the beef jerky?
I literally ate
I
ate all of it.
Is it the Vietnamese jerky?
No, dude, Chandler's friend Chandler's friend makes some good beef jerky, and this dude got it for me. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna get you some. Just being a really cool dude, and got me some. Took me like a couple weeks to pick it up, but finally got it, and literally didn't last more than 10 minutes. I ate the whole thing.
He also wanted to say, Chandler says, I was about to say, I think they switch cultures every month at my school, and incorporate it into studies. Randall also said, second language, sign language.
Oh yeah. I like your shirt too,
Oh, yeah.
Dylan. Who made it?
Thanks, guys. Okay. Counting in. I'm trying to catch up on.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the second best language to learn is sign language. I wonder why. Why do you say that, Randall? But yeah, he said I was about to say I think they switch cultures every month at my school for the curriculum. So like incorporating, you know, Black history versus Hispanic history and Asian history. Is that correct? We need Dream Team merch.
At our school, I mean, there is like, you know, Black History Month and like Hispanic History Month, you know. But I mean, I don't think it just needs to be limited to just like a month of education. I think teachers, being a teacher, an educator of kids, especially elementary school, you know, where they're young and you're really molding their minds, like you need to be conscious when picking out like, you know, the literature and the things you're exposing the kids to and making sure you're not being, you know, biased to just one
Right.
culture.
Exposing kids to all different perspectives. And
Right.
You know, I'm interested because now I'm a little bit confused. You said that some teachers aren't emphasizing, I guess, racial content and on educating kids. Is there not like a program set up? I thought there was. Like, or is this specific to each teacher? Like, are you designing your whatever you want to like a child to learn culturally? Is that given to the teachers to do, or is that like a basic overall syllabus that teachers have to abide by?
So how it works is like teachers are given like a pacing guide, and so they're given standards that they need to teach by this time, right? So one of the standards we have is comparing literature across cultures is a standard that we have here in third grade. So they give us that standard, and then really it's up to the teacher to decide, okay, how do I want to teach that standard? And so, if I'm going to teach it, I'm going to pull different cultures across like different stories, dramas, poetry from different cultures and compare that with the kids, different ones. Some teachers might not, not on purpose, but not like know that they're not exposing to kids to other different cultures. They might just do like Hispanic stories or Black stories, and are not exposing them to like the Asians or the Native American stories.
Right.
So it's just kind of up to them. I mean, we plan as a group, as a team, and they should be doing that. But I think some people tiptoe around the topic of like, race and different cultures that sometimes they're not comfortable with. But
Do you think it would be good for the school board, or maybe not the school board, but someone to oversee the process so we're educating everybody equally? Or, do you think it should be an individual teacher basis?
I mean, that's why we do team planning. A lot of schools are doing like collaborative planning where you're supposed to collaborate with your team and come up with different books you can use to teach that lesson or that standard. And then you have your assistant principal sitting in that meeting. And people are looking over it. So I mean, I guess what would help is making sure like schools are diverse, because I mean, being Asian, there's not a lot of Asian teachers in elementary education. So, I mean, it's good to, make sure they hire diverse teachers so that you get all these perspectives, because your students are diverse.
Right.
So
Is that because
it would
Asian
help.
teachers, and this is a serious question, is that because Asian teachers prefer particularly to not go into lower educations like, elementary school or something like that?
I mean,
Is there a shortage of Asian teachers, or is there like...
You don't see a lot of Asian teachers. I'm going to tell you right now, I think in my current school that I just left, it was me and another Asian teacher in the entire school. That was it. 2 of us.
Really?
That's it. Yeah, like we're outnumbered. But I mean, I think for Asians, like... What?
Oh, that was just funny. I like your comment.
What, we're outnumbered?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
Shoot. But I mean, like there is like a notion where no one goes into education for the money, obviously. Like we don't make much.
Right.
So, I mean, I think Asian people, or not even just Asian people, like some people who don't go into education, they just want something that's going to give them, more income for like a better lifestyle. So, yeah.
It looks like you're part of the background, Nikki.
I love it.
I feel like some... All right, go ahead, Nikki. Sorry. I forget you're my JV.
I'm Jamie.
You're my JV.
I feel like some, not all teachers. Well,
All right. You know what? I got a lot to say about that.
Damn right, because some of you teachers ain't teaching shit.
Well, I'm just okay. Like I feel for the teachers, and I know I've only taught like 3 years, but I mean, teaching at Title I school, I've already felt burnt out my first year. Like,
do you feel like that? I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
do you feel
you're
like it jades people in a certain way? Like,
what do you mean by jades?
Like, do you think, after teaching, and dealing with all these behaviors for a specific amount of time, it doesn't necessarily have to be at a Title I school, but dealing with kids, because Lord knows kids are obnoxious sometimes. Mm-hmm. But do you think that jades teachers in a way that just makes them feel like, fuck it, like, I don't know, I'm just gonna not put any more effort, I just need to get my paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, it does get frustrating, especially for, and I'm not trying to call anyone out.
Yeah, of course.
But like,
of course.
like veteran teachers and like teachers who've been teaching for a long time, education's not the way it was before. Like I remember going to school, like looking at schools now, it wasn't the way it was when we were in school. Education's always changing. And so like a lot of teachers are getting burnt out, and, we're not getting the pay that, other jobs get. And we do a lot of overtime, and there's a lot of behind the scenes work that teachers do that not everyone sees and appreciates. And I think this digital learning was like a good time for parents to kind of see all the work we do. But teachers are getting burnt out, and some of them are like, screw it, let's just get it over with. And I mean, he's kind of right, Chandler. Like some people aren't putting in as much as they used to because their passion for teaching has like dwindled.
So Zoya wanted to know about the cyber shop. What's up, KR Mix? Thanks for the follow on Twitch, buddy. Appreciate that. How you doing, man? So what's the cyber shutdown? Zoya, elaborate.
Randall.
Wait, hold on. Oh, Randall said what?
Jamie. Teachers should get paid more than what they do because they're going to put up with brats a lot. Chandler also said, when I was a daycare teacher, I worked with older kids middle school, and I felt like I got more respect when I met them on their level, but I still had control over them.
I feel like, I mean, I personally wouldn't teach higher than 4th grade just because, I mean,
hell no.
y'all who don't know me, I'm 5 foot. So I get a lot of those jokes like, hey, like you look like the kids. I mean, everyone tells me that. So, I mean, so I feel like I have more authority when I'm taller than my younger kids. But I feel like elementary school kids, like, yeah, they are a little bratty. They go through like that phase where they're trying to like please their friends and they're trying to be cool, but at the same time they're easy to kind of mold and shape, versus when they're like in middle school, high school, they're already kind of set in their ways. Some of them, it's harder to kind of, I feel like, in my opinion, to like influence them,
Right. So we were talking about getting burnt out and teachers getting burnt out. Do you think there's I guess there wouldn't be like a universal solution, but do you think that there would be like a way to, I guess, reduce your own burnout rate?
I mean, there's a lot going on in education that could be I mean, like my first year teaching, I questioned my career path because like literally I was halfway through my first year teaching and I was like, what in the heck did I get myself into?
Yeah, I remember
because
that.
I was literally staying late, waking up early, and I was just burnt. I was burning out and I was like dying. And I had just graduated from college and I was so passionate about it. But I mean, it's hard because kids, especially at the Title I school I was at, they needed a lot of like emotional like needs. Like you needed to kind of understand like all their struggles in order to get to them academically. And that was a big problem for me. That's where I had a lot of behaviors in the beginning. And you have one teacher and you have like 27, 28 kids in the room with no support. And that's tough on the teacher, like,
yeah, that's a lot to control and a lot to handle.
And then you have administration on your butt about test scores. And if your test scores aren't good, it doesn't matter how late you stayed at school. It doesn't matter how great of a lesson you planned. If your kids don't perform well, you look bad as the teacher. And especially now with pay for performance. So what that is basically there's a bonus going out for teachers who are like in the top scores with their class. If their class performs really well on the Georgia Milestones assessment test, you get like a bonus. So like people are competing against that now, especially with that. It's just like
that's kind of dumb, like in my opinion.
It's rough. Yeah, because people are fighting over it.
Yeah, it's not only your ability, but it's the student's willingness to learn, and I never agreed with that. I think that I get the motive behind it. The teachers won't be incentivized to work harder for that higher pay, but I don't agree with it because there's a lot of factors that don't go directly in response to how the teacher teaches. Like, for example, the well-being or the stress of the kids. Like you could have a class that is just completely overwhelmed by some household outside factors.
Yeah.
And, that actually leads me to another point. And I was going to ask you, do you think that there's any way, or do you think that education in itself needs a reform? And if so, like, how would that look like?
What
if the kids are just smarter, like outright, just smarter in one class? Yeah, the teacher would get a bonus. So like the teacher wouldn't have to work as hard.
So like, for example, I taught a class and I'm ESOL certified, and I had resource, which is special education students. So I had special education students, general education students, and ESOL kids in my class, while another third grade teacher had the gifted class. So her scores are clearly going to be higher than mine. So it is what it is, like it also, you kind of, hope that they, mix the classes, homogeneously, so it's like fair. So that way, because in the end, I mean, they say they don't look at test scores, but really they look at the test
Of
scores.
course they do.
And so they'll look at my scores and be like, oh, what happened? I'm like, oh, well, I have like 6 special ed kids that are in my score. Like, even though like they might have started off the year like making a 20% on the test, and then they moved up to a 50%. Like for me, that's great. They made progress. But when they look at the whole score, a 50% doesn't bring up my average. It doesn't do anything. But they don't see that. You know what I mean? So if they really like went and really looked at growth versus like your score, like your average, I feel like that might be more beneficial.
Yeah. What type of reform do you think education needs like right now? Do you think that if at all any, should we be reforming the education system? Because obviously teachers are very underpaid. And this goes out to everybody in the comment section. And do they still get Teacher of the Year award? I guess we'll start with that one, and then we'll go to the reform question.
The Teacher of the Year award. Okay.
Do they still do that?
Yeah. So honestly, my opinion, I think it's a popularity contest.
Really? That's stupid.
The way, I mean, well, at least for your school. So for our school, the way it works is like you run, and then administration, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but someone picks like the top 3 or something, and then they fill out some paperwork, and then they record their lesson, and then they have the whole school watch all 3 teachers' lessons, and then they vote on who they like the best, and then there's a winner for the school. The school Teacher of the Year to me is kind of like a popularity contest, but then whoever wins that one goes to the county, and then they find out the county winner and all of that.
Oh,
but yeah, they still do Teacher of the Year.
That's rigged.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's rigged, but I think there is some favoritism in it.
Of course, as with everything. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, there's bias everywhere.
Why are you kicking my chair? Sign language. Okay, so she was reading that, and it didn't look like my audio was catching her speaking. But... she was saying, in going to the answer your question from before, I think sign language is good to learn because you can communicate with babies. They can't speak. Yeah. And to answer, not going to answer.
That kind of goes with what we call it whole brain teaching. So like we do a lot of like teaching, but like we do like signals, you know what I mean? So like it kind of does like whole brain teaching too.
So we're making superhumans here. Okay.
We try.
I mean, well, there's that whole like
gotta be better,
right? There's that whole like left brain, right brain argument, and you should be working both sides of your brain. So I mean, do you implement any of that in your teaching style? Like,
yeah,
really?
So like, yeah,
I was just kidding. All right, let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay, well, my kids are really big on what is it, Fortnite? Right, that's like a big thing for the kids. So I teach like longitude, latitude, like the lines, and they always get them confused. So like we did dance moves, right? So they like do longitude, or latitude is like going horizontal, right? So they do like, what is it, the floss move?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they'll do the floss. So I'll say latitude and they'll just do the floss. And if I say longitude, they'll do like, I don't know what move it is, but their hands are up and they're running, like the Running Man or something.
Oh, so creative styles of teaching.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something that's going to engage them. And when they're moving and they're having fun and it's something they can relate to, they're going to grasp it much better.
So when I was born, my bridge never developed. So I got one hemisphere instead of 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so the connection between both sides. Okay. Well, dang, man. My brother actually had a corpus callosectomy. And so that's where they separate, yeah, that's where they separate the corpus callus.
Nikki's like, yes, you're making me proud.
Yeah, they separate the thing that's in between. The corpus, what is it?
Corpus callosum.
Corpus callosum. There we go.
Yeah,
I was close.
See, anatomy,
I'm the brain guy.
I took one anatomy course.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so Ian had that, and he's able to function pretty well now, actually.
Wait, you said they removed it?
No, they're supposed to go in and split it, but later they found that they didn't split it fully. Yeah. Why are you laughing at me? I said it wrong. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah, she's the med school student. But all right. So now that we're here, let's talk about education reform. What?
Yes.
All right. So what kind of education reform would you suggest? You know, being a teacher, how would you reduce burnout rates? And this goes to everybody. You know, obviously I can see a couple things so that we've talked about, and let's get rid of the whole competition for salary thing. I think that's a stupid idea.
And that's new. You know, that literally came out, I think, like a year or maybe 2 ago.
Yeah.
Like I think this year was the first year it happened. But yeah, it brings a lot of competition. I mean, I might take that out. Maybe give teachers more of a raise. No.
Not trying to sound biased here.
I mean,
but,
I'm just saying,
know,
I think we need a little bit more money, just a little bit.
you know what? I'd have to totally agree with you guys, man. You guys deal with a lot.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a bachelor's and master's degree, and I have 2 endorsements, right? And my fiance, who I don't want me to put him on blast. I think he's listening to the podcast. But
So Rex,
he went to high school. You know, he didn't finish college, but he works at the restaurant. And if he's working full time there, he makes more than I make in a month. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a disconnect somewhere.
Well, I mean, again, it's that whole competition for salary thing. It's like you could be making top of the salary list if you were teaching the gifted students, but instead you chose to get a CLS certification, or what is it? CLS. Damn, that would be proud of me. What certification allows you to teach autistic kids, or
like special education?
Yeah, special education.
Yeah. And I'm not 100% sure how the pay for compensation works. Like, I don't know if what all they take into account, but I do know it has to do with some kind of scores and some kind of growth, and it's hard to get it.
Right.
So.
You know, another thing is looking at how we could, I guess, get rid of Title I schools. You know how schools are mainly funded by property tax. So, I mean, I don't know. In the chat, let me know if this sounds like interesting, or maybe this is something that, you know, we should actually talk about more. But deciding on whether or not we actually want schools to be funded by property tax or actually just income tax or something along those lines, because right now there is a disparity between, you know, schools that are in one neighborhood, quote unquote, versus another neighborhood because of property taxes, which sort of equates out to these economic disparities or education disparities per se. So I think,
and Title I gets some kind of funding, so I mean it's kind of good in a way, because we're able to give, you know, free reduced lunch, and we get some extra funding from Title I. So I mean, there's some pros and some cons.
Right. What Zoya asked, would you ever teach at a private school? See, I wrote that one correctly. Yeah.
Me personally, I mean, there's pros and cons. I don't think I would.
You don't think you would?
I don't think I personally would. I mean, the people that go to private school, you know, they have the money for that. You know, they probably have more advantages in their education if their parents are able to pay for private school, right? So I always wanted to teach in a place where, you know, they needed me most, which is why I went to Title I my first couple of years, because those kids, you know, they need you there.
Right.
So I think I would stick with public school. Okay. Personally, that's just I mean, you know, you probably get paid more at private school though.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
But I mean,
but you got to live by their rules. I mean, once they're private, you got to live by their rules. No posting pictures of you drinking on social media.
Oh yeah,
no doing nothing.
Yeah. But then again, no one goes into education to get rich. I'm just going to say that right now.
That's true. That's true. Private school kids act like they get a silver spoon. What's up, Cade? Well, if it isn't the homie. How you doing, bud? You doing all right, man? But yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think there's some sort of motivating factor going into these lower economic schools and, you know, teaching these kids. She said, ask you what kind of preparation you guys are going to have for next year.
Okay. You know what? I got the email. Let me see if I could pull it up and read some of it. But I'll go
Okay.
ahead and talk a couple of points that I remember. I know they said they're going to sanitize often and check temperatures, and if you're sick, stay home, that kind of thing.
You could turn
But
it into like turn it into like a science lecture. Like, guys, these are how germs work. This is how biology is, you know. We're going to
True.
turn it into like, this is how sanitizer works. It kills the germs by, stripping their coat. I don't know. You could turn it into some science lecture.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Or-
totally do that.
You're gonna go all in that.
It's just going to be so
Yeah.
Oh, and they're turning off water fountains. Like, you can't do water fountains. They're going to have lunch in the classrooms. Like, this is like if we do face-to-face school. I just don't know how they're going to social distance, because like, I mean, in a typical classroom you have about 20 some kids in there, like 24 to 27. Like, it's going to be rough trying to figure that out. But like
You think
Go
they
ahead.
would get rid of recess?
Probably. I mean, even the gym equipment they're going to have to wipe down frequently, when they go to PE and stuff. And like, I mean, we're really putting kids in a bubble, and I don't know how that's going to play out. I know, like, for health reasons, I understand it, but for education, it's going to be rough.
So you think they would replace like recess or something with some other activity to get their energy out? I mean, because obviously the kids
Yeah.
kind of use that as an outlet, but you don't have
would
that. You might
hope
have more
so.
behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. It's unsure exactly what they're going to do, because I mean, this is all pretty new to us too. They're kind of figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
But they have things that like you could play on, like the projector, where kids could like Go Noodle. If anyone knows what Go Noodle is, like you play like a video and it's like a song and like a dance routine, and the kids do it at their seats, or like they stand up real quick. So like it could be like a quick brain break, but I don't know how much, that's going to work for them.
Just bring a PS4 and just there we go.
Or something.
Yeah, sorry. That my camera shut off again.
Oh, you're good.
What the hell? Hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. Cade, yo, chilling at the beach. Yo, when did you get to the beach, bud? Better go hop in the pool here real quick. Just wanted to say hey and love the show.
Oh, that's nice. I wish I was at the pool.
No, I wish I was at the pool too.
Ask.
Yep.
So apparently, hold on.
I
there we
kinda
go.
heard
There
her.
we go. All right. So she said,
How do you think developments impact the
did you
progress
hear?
or developments of
She's asking how is it going to impact their social development, being separated from everybody.
It's gonna be rough, because kids, they do things without really realizing it. Like they love to play, they interact with their peers. I mean, a lot of what we like to do is like collaborative work. Kids learn best hands-on, number one, which I don't know how they're gonna work with not being able to touch manipulatives unless you sanitize it all the time, like every rotation. It's just, I think it's gonna be rough on them. It's gonna be a different change. I mean, you're trying to teach, I don't know how kindergarten's going to do it. Shoot, kindergarten kids. It's just, I think it's going to be a big adjustment for them to get used to.
Hashtag Dream Team. Del filling it. Oh, it's his birthday, guys. Let's all wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If everybody wears a mask in the school, there shouldn't be any problem going to school. Well, it's true, but you gotta.
Yeah, so they said they sent the email out saying that they are not required to wear a mask, and let me explain that. It's an optional thing, because they know some kids and some staff, like, I guess the comfortability of it, I don't know, or like they're unable to, because whatever reason, but they're saying that they can't force everyone to wear a face mask, but it's highly recommended.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, wash your hands often, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we started online schooling in August. I mean, I kind of brought up the idea where like we should, like, if I had a classroom, for example, like have these kids come to school Monday, Wednesday, and the other kids do digital learning, and then Tuesday, Thursday, a different group comes in, like alternate. At least they're getting some instruction face to face, and then they can go back home and, because they're worried about class sizes, but I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, that seems like it's going to be a handful to manage with everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially. That's just going to be a lot. And how do you think that with what's going on in the world, I mean, I know we're jumping back and forth between Corona and,
Oh, you're good.
protests and everything like that, but do you think that what's going on, especially right now, following George Floyd and everything, do you think that there's going to be more of a push for curriculum to change in the schools?
I think curriculum's a part of it. Like really exposing children to like the different literature, Black literature, and like making sure that they understand the sensitivity around different cultures and different races. But I also think teachers need to really buckle down and call out any kids that exhibit any kind of racism. And a lot of kids that do that in elementary school don't do it purposely to like with the intent to harm someone, like they
Right.
just either heard it before or they're trying to be funny. Because I've had a kid in my class this past year who like, just trying to be funny, but will like he'll pull his eyes back and like say chink, and like for Asians, that's offensive.
That's terrible, man.
Right. And some
How old was
teachers,
this kid?
This kid he was in my class. He was 8 years old. 7,
But he had
8.
to have learned that somewhere. That's
Right. And I know this kid, and he's a sweetheart. He's not meant to hurt. He didn't intend to hurt people, right? He's just thinking he thinks he's funny. And like that's the prime time for you to educate the kid about that and say like, hey, like we don't say that. A lot of teachers might say, hey, don't say that, and like brush it off. Like teachers need to really take teachable moments and teach the kids when they do something like that. Because a lot of it, happens in elementary school, and some teachers dismiss it, like they do like a small little slap on the wrist and dismiss it, but they don't really educate them onto like why you don't say things like that,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what really needs to happen is teachers need to get more on board with that. My opinion.
Well, again, that's part of the whole point, right? It's with what's going on in the world, I was just curious to see if there was going to be more incentive, I guess, to focus on that kind of behavior.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Little kids pick up everything. They hear it, they're gonna say it. In agreement about better quality in all schools, regardless of how much is brought in by property tax. Where'd my Jamie go? Jamie.
She's slacking on her job.
She is. I gotta read all this. My brain can't handle the overload. She said she had to go to the bathroom. No bathroom breaks allowed.
Should have done that before 8 o'clock.
Yeah. we already went over
read it.
I already read it.
Too late.
Yeah. I already read it.
But yeah, no, I agree. We don't know what these kids are being exposed to when they go home, and what they're watching and what they're hearing. So like as a teacher, you're kind of like the second mom, second dad. You gotta, teach them what's right from wrong, because you can't rely that they're getting that proper education at home too.
Yeah, but now the question is, how much of a responsibility is on the teachers? Like how much of that responsibility do you guys have? That doesn't seem fair, but I mean it does make sense.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying like teachers wear a lot of hats, and that's so true. Like you're not just the teacher who teaches academics, you're like the mom who like makes sure they're taken care of, you're like the coach that teaches them how to do certain things. Like I think there's only so much teachers can do, and this is where like we take work home with us, because we think about the kids and how they're doing at home. But when they're with me, at least like in the classroom, they're gonna act the way they need to act with me.
Right.
So I mean, what happens at home I can't control, what they're exposed to, what they do, what they choose not to do. But at least I know when they're with me, they know that this is the right thing to do, and at least I've tried to do my part with teaching them what's good and what's wrong.
Have you had any kids that just explicitly just say basically fuck you. Like you're
Defiant kids.
Yeah, you're not my mom. Like what have you had to do with those?
Yeah. And that's what stinks is like, especially when like a kid does something and they're against you, and then you have to talk to their parent, and then their parent is on the kid's side and they're against the teacher. And you're like, well, dang, what am I gonna do now? I've had that happen my first year. With a kid. So I mean, you just gotta hope your administration supports you, and backs you up, and most administrators will be good about that.
How do you
So,
handle that? Like what do you do in the moment?
in the moment, I do feel a little panicky because I'm just kind of like, oh, great, I wasn't expecting that. But I mean, you kind of, you know, try to understand their perspective and validate like, their feelings, and say that like, okay, I understand that you feel this way. I totally understand that you're upset about this. And then you just, tell them the school policy and then move it over to let them handle it.
Oh man. That
Because
seems so rough. Like in the moment, man.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't be an elementary school teacher. If a kid was like literally acting out, I got in trouble for calling a kid a punk.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for calling a kid a punk. A punk is not a bad word, bro. I said, look, kid, the kid was pushing another kid, and I go, hey man, stop being a punk. And he told his mom, and I got in trouble.
I got in trouble because it was my class. The kid was 4 years old.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you got to be so
sometimes
careful.
I want to
They'll go home and
those
tell their
kids. I
parents.
could not do it.
They will go home and tell their parents. I swear. Yeah.
That's a complete joke for future employers. I don't want to slap kids. I promise. Yeah.
Who was it? My brother's girlfriend.
Your brother's girlfriend.
Yeah, she subbed. I want to say a middle school class or something, and she said I think she called the kid a punk too, and then they put her on leave. Like she couldn't be a sub anymore.
What?
It was along the lines of I want to say she did say punk too, because they kind of associate that with like if you call someone like a hood, or like you're being a thug, like words like that, like you're like stereotyping them or something, and like saying, I think they associate that like all together. Like punk is considered one of those kinds of words,
What? That doesn't make no sense.
I mean,
Mahone. I don't know his other. No, if you kiss. No, what? Why can't I read that one? That one's fun. If you kiss a homie to, if you kiss the homies to bed, are you then gay? No, of course not, bro. It's your homie. Man, if he wants to join it, he had to hit that follow button to put that comment. I don't care. I'll read it. I don't care, man. Hey, what's up? How you doing? How's your night, man? I got in trouble for calling a kid a duty head. That's not like stereotyping nobody, but he got in trouble. That don't make no sense.
You got to have a lot of patience as a teacher, because there have been many times where I just kind of wanted to look at them and be like, what the F are you doing?
Yeah, and I think I would honestly, I'd crack at that point and just be like,
you do a lot of repeating.
I couldn't. I don't know. You have a lot of patience, and I admire you 100% for it. Like, I don't know if I could handle a class of little kids. I could handle like one-on-one tutoring.
Yeah.
Because that's more manageable. But your attention is so divided amongst 27 kids. You're just like, all right, this kid over here is calling Sally.
Yep. And then they expect you to keep up with all 20-some kids. Like, I need to know that little Susie started off with this and has this grade now, and little Johnny, blah, blah. Like, you have to remember everything about every single kid. And it's a lot.
Bro,
like,
I'm a unit leader at a camp for special needs adults and children. And some of these adults and children have fewer behaviors than some of these kids. And they still put you to about 3 to 10 people.
Yeah.
Like, that's... Yeah, 3 people to 10 campers. Like, no, man, you need some more work. You need some more help. That could be another solution right there. Increasing staff size in the classroom or reducing.
But we also don't have the funds for it.
We have the fun.
We don't have the funds. Education needs more funding.
Education does need more funding.
Yeah, because I think we got a budget cut, and like, Title I's, you have a certain amount of points, so like you can't go over it. And so like I think we ran out of points to hire people, so like we can't hire more people, and like it's just it's tricky, super tricky. It's like a numbers game.
I don't know about that. I think we could make some budget cuts to the board members. There's no
I
reason
feel like it's been brought
superintendents-
up. I feel like with some things going on right now, like some concerns about education are being brought to the table. So hopefully,
Yeah, there's no reason we should be losing money in education.
yeah,
That
a lot of
doesn't
good
make any
teachers
sense.
are leaving. A lot of good teachers are leaving, and I have a friend, a personal friend. Her boyfriend was teacher of the year for the county. He was a great teacher for Gwinnett County, and he was awesome. And he honestly, I think he quit teaching last year to pursue a different career path because it just wasn't cutting it. Like it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but the incentive is not there for teachers to stay.
Mhm.
It's like you're underpaid. You got to deal with kids, not only the kids, but
Yeah.
you got to manage coworker relationship and
Mhm.
parent-teacher relationship.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with behaviors, and you get underpaid,
I
and
don't
your
even know-
budgets are cut.
Right.
like, it
We just
doesn't make
want
any
to feel
sense.
valued, appreciated. And I don't know how people have families and are teachers.
Oh, but hold up. We got you. Teacher Appreciation Week. We got you.
We have Teacher Appreciation Week, but I mean, do we? Oh, no.
That look she gave me in the middle before the transition was gold. She was like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's rough.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, you guys should get more, but we just decide here's a appreciation sticker. Here's all you guys get.
I don't know how people who have like families are teachers. It's like literally when the school year starts, teaching is like what I do all day, all night. I don't know how anyone has any time to do anything else. It's just so much work.
Yeah. Let's see.
So-
My night is fire. What's up, man? Still in the chat, bud. Thanks. Kid to kid B, something about kid C who would get in trouble. I don't. Brett, buddy, I don't understand that. Can you Oh, okay. Who would
About
get in
what?
trouble? I think like basically if one kid punches another kid, don't they both get in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, whoever like is fighting gets in trouble. Yeah, obviously. I see fighting's a whole tricky topic because like that's what a lot of parents, even like some teachers, like it's hard because if someone starts a fight, like that kid obviously gets in trouble. But if the kid hit back, the one that was getting hit on, if the kid hit back, that kid also has some kind of consequence. And some parents might say, well, my kid's defending themselves, why can't my kid hit him back? And that's where like a lot of conflicts happen. But it's just like a school thing, like school policy, like there's that we learn better ways to handle a situation, walk away, go find the teacher or something. I don't know,
man.
And
If
just
if I was a
tricky.
kid and there
Balance
was
a
another
tricky
kid that was just wailing on me, I don't know if I'd walk away and go tell the teacher. Like if I'm
I
on the
know.
ground getting wailed on, nah, dude, I'm gonna kick that kid right off me. I'm gonna beat his ass.
Yeah, but then the teacher should be monitoring their kids. So if that happens, the teacher should step in.
But in defense,
shouldn't
all
have to get that
27
way.
kids, right?
Yeah. And most of the time when that happens, it's happening. I mean, the teacher's always with the kids. Even if it's recess, you're monitoring the kids. If it happens in your classroom, you should be there to stop it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it should never have to get to that point. But I know high school and middle school is probably a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe there'll be less fights because, people are social distancing next year. You know what I mean? They can't touch each other.
I don't know, man. Hasn't stopped kids before.
Yeah, they'll find some way.
Could you imagine a kid like, nah, bro, I don't want to fight you. We're supposed to be social distancing right now.
Right.
Like, could you imagine high schoolers doing that? Nah, man. I gotta respect social distance guidelines. So I can't fight you. You can't beat
Right.
my ass right now. That's almost as good as yeah, teacher said you can't do that, so don't do it. Never
Right.
stop nobody.
Yeah, true. I think social distancing is going to be super hard. The kids are they're not going to know what to do or how to do it because it's never been done before. It's going to be rough.
It's gonna be interesting. Well, we'll have to have you back on, when
When
School
school starts back up, I'll let you know how it's rolling.
yeah, we're gonna have to get further insights on it, and hopefully things have changed. Hopefully we'll be in better times in 2-3 months from now.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Hopefully we won't have to deal with everything that's going on. But
Yeah. Just gotta find a way to adapt. You know,
Yeah.
teachers always adapt. So we got it.
That's going to be hard on study groups.
Yep.
Hey, that's why I have a Discord called Lo-Fi Cafe. Chandler and Kaylor know. So that's an inside joke. That's for them specifically. All right, guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. I really appreciate everybody. This has been Celina Chau. Have I been saying that right? Chau, right?
You've known me for how many years? Yes.
is
My last
right.
name is Chau.
No, I just got to make sure because sometimes I'll be saying some people's name and they've never corrected me, and then I'll just be like,
Good luck when
oops.
you say Rex's name when he comes on your stream.
I'm not even gonna attempt it. I'm just gonna say Rex K. That's it.
Rex K.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
butcher it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki can introduce him.
Yeah. Nikki's gonna be Jamie. She'll be here introducing everybody. All right, guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. This has been Celina Chau. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. I'll catch up with you on IG, Dylan. Yeah, I appreciate it, Randall. Thank you, everybody. I love you. We'll be live Thursday with Jordan and Josh. We're back on normal schedule, guys. I love you. Thank you for daydreaming, and Uncle Daydream. Gonna get that merch out there. I'll catch you guys later. I'll keep you, Celina.
Okay.